君の虜になってしまえばきっとこの夏は充実するのもっともう戻れなくたって忘れないででも気持ちを伝えてしまえばいつかこの夢は覚めてしまうだろうな青い影が揺れる街角君の虜になってしまえばきっとこの夏は充実するのもっともう戻れなくたって忘れないでも気持ちを伝えてしまえばいつかこの夢は覚めてしまうだろうな青い影が揺れる街角君の虜になってしまえばきっとこの夏は充実するのもっともう戻れなくたって忘れないでも気持ちを伝えてしまえばいつかこの夢は覚めてしまうだろうな青い影が揺れる街角何年経っても言えない後悔したって今はないでも言葉はここまで出てるの様海岸通りを歩きたいドライ
And we're live. Hello. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
We are starting up volume 16. I know I have the volume 15 stuff up. I haven't been able to change up everything that I needed to, but, it is what it is. So please bear with us. That being said, though, we're going to go ahead and get started and jump right into it. Shim, I believe you are reading today, so go ahead and
Yep.
get us started.
Yep, have it ready to go. Okay, everyone. We're just tuning in for the first time. We are reading Mushoku Tensei light novels. We are on volume 16 on chapter 1. So if you're following along, that's where we are. So chapter 1 is called The First Mission.
Yep.
One second. Let me get a gulp of water.
Oh, yeah, you're fine.
Oh, right.
Chapter 1, The First Mission. Let me briefly summarize everything that's happened so far. After discovering the man god had been deceiving me this entire time, I hit rock bottom. A series of events followed, culminating in a face-off between me and Orsted, which ultimately resulted in me becoming his subordinate. That's right, I found myself an employer. As if that weren't shocking enough, I also reunited with Eris and married her. It's like the warm rays of spring sunlight are pouring over me, as if my life has hit its peak. Spring was the season of new beginnings, and with my marriage to Eris, I was bursting with renewed vigor. It might be summer right now, but it was still spring in my heart of hearts. I was floating on cloud nine as I headed into work, my workplace being where Orsted currently resided. This time, I was alone, as a man is supposed to be when he commutes. To be fair, it was pretty normal in our household for the women to work, too, so there was nothing wrong with bringing someone along. But Orsted's curse meant they just feel hostile towards him, so it was best for me to make the trip myself. As I arrived at the cottage, I spotted someone collapse on the ground. Who in the world would keel over here? Huh? Zenoba! It's Zenoba! He's dead! He was slumped against a 3-meter tall hunk of metal lying on his back. No, this can't be happening. I raced over to him and clapped my hands over his shoulders, shaking him. Come on, this can't be real. Zenoba! Speak to me! There was a pulse. His pupils were moving, and he was breathing. His body was still warm, too. Okay, yeah. He was definitely still alive. Guess I jumped to the wrong conclusion. He's not dead. He was only sleeping. Oh, he scared me to death. Scared enough, I'd almost shouted Jesus at the top of my lungs. Anyway, what was he doing sleeping here? He was royalty. Shouldn't he be in a nice soft bed or something? He was too old to be slumming it out here. As I breathed a sigh of relief, the door to the cottage cracked open and Orsted stepped out. Rudius. So you have arrived. Oh, yeah, I have. He stared at us. Last night, Zenoba Chiron carried that thing here. What thing? That armor you used earlier in battle. He gazed at the lump of metal Zenoba was leaning up against. Upon closer inspection, I realized it was indeed my magic armor. I hadn't recognized it because it was in pieces. Come to think of it, I'd mentioned that it was destroyed in battle and that I'd left it behind, as well as needing to go retrieve it soon. And you two happened to run into each other in the process and you fought? I asked. Indeed. Sonova had probably never dreamed Orsted would be here, of all places. I should have told him earlier, but just hadn't had the chance. It didn't look like he had any real injuries, at least. Orsted must have gone easy on him. At the end of our battle, he swore he wouldn't let me get my hands on this armor. Said he had to be sure to deliver it to you. That's why he crawled the rest of the way to it. He certainly has taken a liking to you. Oh, Sonova! I immediately leaned over to him and used my healing magic. Since he had no external injuries, it wasn't much good, but I wanted him to sleep peacefully at least. Actually, now that I think about it, Orsted just left him out here in the open after he collapsed. Maybe he's more merciless than I gave him credit for. So he will wake up eventually, right? Put him to sleep using hypnosis magic passed down through the Nuka tribe. He should awaken in a few hours. Ah, so that's what he used on Zenoba. Wonder exactly what kind of magic that is. Very intriguing. Could this hypnosis magic also allow the user to manipulate a person's actions? Like, if I use it on Sylphie to command her to lift up her skirt, would she do it? I don't need hypnosis magic for that, though. She'd do it if I asked. In fact, if that was what I wanted, I needed to get her a skirt. A miniskirt would be best. One of those frilly, fairy-like ones would suit her best, surely. Besides, if hypnosis magic was that powerful, Orsted would probably be using it a lot more. Putting someone to sleep was probably the extent of its usefulness. Come inside. Let's resume our discussion from yesterday, said Orsted as he disappeared back into the cottage. I slipped off my jacket and draped over Zenova. Then I used my magic to conjure an earthen roof to protect him before following Orsted. Once I was finished here, I would collect Zenova and take him back to Ginger. Allow me to cut to the chase, said Orsted as we settled into our seats. He took my diary from his pocket and slapped it down the table between us. Quite a fascinating read. I've had some interest in this magic regarding time travel, what your future self spoke of. But since we lack the information to duplicate it ourselves, we'll leave that aside for now. All right. There were a number of things that caught my interest, but before we discuss the contents of this journal, I would like to know what you and the man god have spoken about in the past. Tell me everything. Spare no details. Yeah, of course. I recounted everything I could remember. Our first encounter happened immediately after the displacement incident. After that, I saw him again in Rikarisu City, then in Windport, Eastport, and then right after Orsted nearly killed me. Following that, I saw him again when I enrolled in the Magic Academy, then right before I went to Begarit, then immediately before my future self came to visit, and again immediately after. We also met while I was preparing to face off with Orsted, 10 times in total. I gave Orsted as much detail as I could remember from each conversation, including what the man god commanded me to do and how his instructions played out. After the displacement incident, he told me to rely on Reejerd. I became an adventurer as a result. In Rikarisu City, he instructed me to take on a request to search for someone's lost pet. That led me to becoming acquainted with Jalil and Visquel, and ended with us being driven from the city. In Windport, he told me to carry some food and traverse the back alleys. That was how I found the great Empress of the Demon World and received one of her demon eyes. In Eastport, he showed me a premonition and ordered me to go to Sharon. There, I met Zenova and saved Aisha and Lilia. He gave me no real advice following the incident where Orsted nearly killed me. However, he told me to enroll in the academy and look into the displacement incident. Thanks to that, I was reunited with Sylvie and the two of us got married. The man god had warned me not to go to Begarit. I ignored him, which led to Paul's death and Zenith becoming a mostly empty husk, but at least it wasn't all negative. I did get married to Roxy as a result, though the man god claimed that Paul would have lived if I hadn't gone. The man god spoke with me again, prior to my future self coming to visit, and told me to check on my basement. The moment I got out of my chair to follow his advice, my future self appeared and told me everything that was about to happen, and as he warned, there was indeed a rat down there. After I dealt with all that, the man god reappeared displeased. That was when he told me to kill Orsted. With no other option to protect my family, I obeyed and began to prepare for our final battle. Or for our battle. It was during that process when he visited me again to give me all sorts of advice. It was thanks to him that we'd managed to finish the magic armor this quickly. Orsted listened quietly as I spoke. He didn't even bother grunting or nodding, nor did he voice any questions. He stayed completely silent until I was finished. That's all, I said. Did you get anything from all that? Yes. I now understand exactly how he was using you. Oh, seriously? Well, I guess I shouldn't be surprised. This is Orsted I'm talking to. He used you to change the course of history, said Orsted. History, you say? Yes. Ordinarily, the hand of fate is so strong that certain things should be immutable. But he found a way to circumvent that, using you. Because my own fate is so strong? Precisely. Wow. So my destiny is so powerful it can change the course of history? But, Sir Orsted, surely you could do the same thing if you wanted to. I could, he nodded, slapping the top of the journal. But I failed to see his goal in altering history this much. Isn't it to avoid being killed? I asked. Don't take his words at face value. Ah, right. Guess there is a possibility he was lying about all that. At any rate, there is one thing I do know for certain, said Orsted. What's that? Whatever lies at the end of this altered course of history is something that stands to benefit him. Makes sense. After a brief pause, Orsted continued. In order to direct the future towards a course more beneficial to me, you will alter its current trajectory. He wants me to alter it, not correct it, huh? Yes, that makes sense. Strictly speaking, it's not history yet, since it technically hasn't happened. History is whatever you make it, being in the past. You're being awfully roundabout, I said. I am already laying plans for 100 years into the future. Everything that has happened so far, and that will happen from here, is all groundwork. But thanks to you and Nanahoshi, much of it has gone off track. 100 years into the future? Well, I guess he's been setting up things up for a while, so he can't really change his plans now. Just to clarify, the two of us can't just go wherever the man god is and kick his butt, I guess? Orsted shook his head. Until we have collected the hidden treasures, we won't be able to reach the place he's in. And I'm guessing we just can't gather them up real quick? 4 are easy to obtain, but Lapis holds the final piece. He won't revive for another 80 years. I will be the one gathering these treasures. You had best not act on your own. Understood. Act on my own? I had no idea where those treasures were located to begin with. My diary did mention that they were held by the 5 dragon generals, but I only knew the whereabouts of one, Prugius. Wait a second. Chaos. But the maniacal Dragon King is dead, right? Isn't that a bit of a problem? I heard that Lord Chaos has passed away. How are you going to deal with that? I've already acquired the treasure he held. Oh, okay, so he's already dealt with that. But hold up, I said. What if the man god has already foreseen that I'll try to change the future? I mean, what if I'll just be digging our graves by taking action, or mine at the very least? No. In addition to his powers of foresight, I believe it's also highly likely he has a special trait that makes all the living creatures of this world trust him unconditionally. That has left him ill-equipped to deal with irregularities. Huh. I never realized. I guess you could say the man god has a curse of his own. Hold on. Saying people trusted him unconditionally was a stretch. I never trusted him, for one. But then again, Orsted's curse doesn't work on me. Maybe that means the man god's curse doesn't either. It did feel like he had a hard time trying to deal with me and my constant skepticism, although I did end up trusting him in the end. Perhaps his curse wasn't entirely ineffective after all, and who knows? My resistance to Orsted's curse might wear off eventually, and I'd start fearing him, too. No, there's no guaranteed Orsted's information is reliable. His assumptions about the nature of the man god's curse might not be entirely correct. As soon as I started contemplating that possibility, I started doubting everything. Best just to drop this whole thing, I decided. I'm not good at the whole guessing what my opponent has planned thing, I said. Do you really think we can win this? I do, he said confidently. Our enemy isn't invincible. I am only one step away from ending him. It sounded like he was reassuring himself instead of me. Either way, he was intent on winning. He was determined to claim victory in the end, even if we were the underdogs along the way. That part I did find promising. So, we will change the course of the near future, said Orsted. The near future? Yes. He paused before continuing. We will make second Princess Ariel Enemoi Asura the king of the Asura kingdom. Okay. So we were going to throw our weight behind her then? Awesome. I'd actually been thinking about how I wanted to help her out. This was my first mission. It was a welcome one. Made a good call taking a job at this company. Depending on the circumstances, I can use her as a puppet. I blinked. A puppet? Well, that certainly sounded a bit ominous. Rather than backing her, it seemed like we were pulling her strings. Yeah, that definitely sounds a bit more than ominous. Yes, the company I signed up for is actually super shady. I have to wonder if someone like Princess Ariel would really be so easily manipulated, I murmured. I say puppet, but I won't do something as extreme as manipulating her. As long as we can establish ties to Asura Kingdom in the future, that will be enough. Alright then. He was probably thinking 100 years into the future. Each small step we took would add up, altering the course of history in the process. As a result, the world would be very different in another century. For instance, we could persuade the princess to focus more on magical research or strengthening the military. We could even lay the groundwork necessary to erode the entire kingdom if we wanted. Are you sure it's okay to do that? I asked, disturbed by my last thought. Of course. The history as I know it would, or the history as I know it would, or had Ariel as king to begin with. Oh, I would love to hear more about this history if you don't mind. Very well, he nodded. Originally, Ariel Enemoi Asura was to become king. Her course was protected by a strong destiny, as if it were predetermined. A bit difficult for me to believe that, seeing the way she is now, I said. I am sure that's true. Ariel's position had only worsened lately. From where I was standing, it seemed very likely that she would completely strike out with Perugius. That was why Sylphie was constantly busy running here, there, and everywhere. They were trying their best, but it was an uphill battle. In order for her to become king, Ariel requires the backing of 3 people, Orsted explained. The first among them is the guardian mage Derek Redbat. As I recalled, that was the name of the man who had served as Ariel's bodyguard before Sylphie. I was pretty sure he'd passed away during the displacement incident. Derek was highly intelligent, and ambitious too. Even without the displacement incident, Ariel was destined to someday meet Perugius, and it was Derek who convinced Perugius to join her side. So basically, if Derek were alive, she wouldn't be in the terrible position she is in now. Derek continued to counsel her after that, eventually leading to him taking up the position of Prime Minister. Prime Minister, huh? Well now, that is a pretty important position. I shook my head. And you're saying the displacement incident claimed the life of someone so pivotal? Indeed. He was supposed to be be protected by his own strong destiny. But he died. Which meant that one's destiny wasn't absolute. I supposedly had fate on my side protecting me from death as well, but if Derek's bloody end was any indication, I'd better not let it go to my head. So what you're trying to say is, we had to find someone to replace him, right? I asked. No. If we are to make her our puppet, a prime minister would only get in our way. We don't need that. Are you sure she'll be able to run the country without one? Coming to the magic city of Sharia helped her grow and change as a person. It won't be an issue. If you say so. I was afraid it'd come back to bite us in the butt if we played too fast and loose. At least he wasn't telling me to take over and become prime minister. I was no brainiac like Derek. The other key person is Eris Boreas Greyrat. Eris? My eyes widened. Why did she have to do with anything or any of this? Sure, she was part of the Assyrian nobility, but she had no connection to Ariel as far as I knew. Originally, the Assyrian guard selected her for her skill with the sword. She joined their ranks, which was how she met Luke. The two were supposed to marry. Something twinged in my chest. I can't really picture the two of them marrying, I mumbled. It was love at first sight for him. Seriously? What was Luke supposed to be? The descendant of some hero or something? Although I could totally see him falling for Eris. She had a beautiful face and huge breasts. I couldn't fault anyone for being deceived by her appearance. Orsted continued. No matter how many times she punched him, he continued to pursue her, and that softened her heart. After the two married, they were extremely affectionate with one another. An affectionate couple, huh? Well, it is true that once you wiggle your way into her heart, she does start to show her cuter side. But this whole conversation makes me feel like I got cuckolded somehow. That does it. When I get back home, I have to sneak up on Eris from behind and grope her. I'm sure she'll punch me for it. That's a price I'm willing to pay. If it means getting to touch her chest, I'm fine with being her punching bag. Well, the tale I am sure you find no humor in, said Orsted. To be honest, no, I don't. Very well. I'll keep my summary brief then. I couldn't care less how history might have played out differently. In this timeline, Luke and Eris weren't together. I'm the only one of our fair Lady Danes to bestow her affection on. Lady Eris belongs to me and me alone. Excuse me. The Eris Boreas Greyrat I knew was a skilled swordswoman or swordsman, though less so than her current self. But she still eventually reached the rank of saint. Despite her beautiful appearance and impressive status, her fiery personality earned her the epithet Red Lion. Red Lion, huh? A long time ago, people who had likened her to a wild ape. Lion was a huge step up in comparison. Currently, she was known as the Mad Dog. Guess she's still a beast in the end. Eris and Luke worked together to shield Ariel from assassination numerous times. Yeah. Eris and Luke worked together to shield Ariel from assassination numerous times, protecting her on her path to kinghood. In other words, Sophie assumed the role that was originally supposed to be Eris's. Correct. What happened to Sophie in this alternate timeline? While I knew it likely had nothing to do with the main topic, I couldn't help but ask. Sylviette became Roxy Migurdia's apprentice and later went on to become an adventurer. People tended to hate her for her green hair, but in the end, she conquered several notable labyrinths and made a name for herself as one of the world's foremost dungeon explorers. Wow, impressive, Sophie. I would expect no less from my wife. I'd have to give her ear a good tonguing once I got home. And who did she end up hooking up with? I'm not having this conversation with you simply to satisfy your curiosity, Orsted grumbled. Oops, sorry about that. My shoulders slumped. Orsted sighed before continuing, clearly exasperated. As far as I know, neither Sophiette nor Roxy Migurdia married anyone. They lived out the entirety of their lives as single women. Interesting. Thank you for telling me. Huh? That's how things went. Roxy and Sophie never got with anyone else. Guess that means the two of them really do belong to me and me alone. That really warms my heart, especially after hearing about how Eris married Luke. Guess this is what they mean when they talk about a guy being possessive. Those two girls are mine. I won't let anyone else have them. Would you like to hear about the rest of your family as well? No, let's return to the topic, I said. As much as I wanted to ask, the timeline he spoke of was one in which I never existed. Knowing what happened there would change nothing about the present. It was better to stick to necessary information. I heard enough to sate my curiosity. Okay, so since Sylphie has taken over Eris's position, there's no problem there, right? Indeed. The fact that Ariel is still alive is proof of that. Although having Eris by her side also meant that Ariel had the support of Philip Boreas Greyrat and Saros Boreas Greyrat. They were also casualties of the displacement incident. Their absence made our situation even more dire. Okay, but you said there were 3 people. Who was the last one? Tristina Purplehorse. Tristina Purple what? That certainly wasn't a name I'd heard before. She is the daughter of high-ranking nobility, the House of Purplehorse. She was kidnapped when she was 8. High Minister Darius Silva Ganius has been keeping her as his sex slave. The name rang a bell. If I remembered right, he was enjoying increased support and momentum in the kingdom right now. I was pretty sure he was throwing his weight behind the first prince, but an 8-year-old sex slave? Or an 8-year-old sex slave, huh? What a creep. Tristina was going to be secretly disposed of, but unfortunately, Ariel happened to save her. Even with his status, Darius could not escape reproach for having confined a daughter of the Purple Horse House for years. He
See,
lost his position.
told you that the nobles are way, way worse.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
So much worse.
Yeah. Well, let me, Tristina was going to be secretly disposed of, but fortunately, Ariel happened to save her. Even with his status, Darius could not escape reproach for having confined a daughter of the Purple Horse House for years. He lost his position as a result of the scandal, which also marked the downfall of First Prince Grabel. So the First Prince's name is Grabel. Okay, got it. Okay, I said. So where is this Tristina person in this timeline? Missing. And you're sure she's not dead? I am not. Darius has a habit of immediately scouring everything around him whenever an incident occurs. That includes disposing of slaves. So there's a high probability she's already dead. In that case, I guess we're better off assuming she's no longer among us. Well, the one who trains and oversees these slaves for Darius typically sells off any that are marked for disposal in order to profit from them. Assuming the same happened to Justina, she is likely still a slave, just with a new master. Or perhaps, if she's still young enough, she's learned enough skills to become a thief on the streets. Orsted patted my journal on the table. This female thief named Triss, who was mentioned in your journal, comes to mind. Triss. That's right. There was a female thief who helped my future self sneak into the Asura kingdom. Weren't very many details about her, though. Yeah, I said. But the name Triss isn't exactly rare in Asura. Asurans seem to have the preoccupation with names that had Riss in them, whether it was Eris or Triss. True. But as far as I know, there were no female thieves named Triss in that area. Plus, Tristina has a number of unique features that match up with the woman described in your diary. Ah, that makes sense. Since Orsted knew what the timeline was originally supposed to be, he naturally took note when someone out of place appeared in my journal, and with a similar name to boot. Perhaps they really were the same person, but would someone named Tristina really shorten her name to Triss? I was getting Spirited Away vibes from this. Okay, so you're saying that as long as we get our hands on her, we can take down the High Minister? Yes, because she's a living witness to his crimes. In other words, if we're going to have any success in making Ariel king, we need to find this Triss person. Why doesn't she just go back home? I asked. The kidnapping was a cover story. In truth, her family sold her off. So even though her family purposely sold her, you still think the news that she was kept as a sex slave would make Darius lose his position? I do. As far as the public knows, she really was kidnapped. Besides, the truth is merely a pretense for taking Darius down. I get it. Darius had a number of enemies, and they didn't care about the details of his scandal. All they wanted was an excuse to get rid of him. As long as they could tell the public he'd forcibly abducted a high-ranking aristocrat's daughter, that would be enough to strip him of his status. Ugh, this country is a huge pain in the butt, I groused. Agreed. However, it is precisely because such devious people reside there that Asura holds the most power in the world. It would be that way even if the land they lived on wasn't so plentiful. That made sense. In my estimation, those who quarreled among themselves like that tended to develop better negotiation skills, which better fitted them when the need for diplomacy arose. But maybe my views were a bit biased. Regardless, he continued, we'll be able to remove High Minister Darius so long as we have Tristina. With him gone, we won't have any trouble with the rest of the opposition. Is he really that powerful of a figure? Orsted nodded. He is. It's no exaggeration to say that the current king could not hold on to his throne without Darius. Wow, he's that important? I guess he's like a kingmaker, someone who gathers up gold and lays down all the groundwork. If Ariel somehow fails to have him removed from his current office, then it will be up to you to kill him. What? I gaped. You want me to do it? Yes. You have a strong destiny of your own. It should be a simple matter for you to dispose of him. Did my destiny really have anything to do with being able to kill someone or not? Come to think of it, the man god did say something about how I might be able to kill Orsted where others would have failed. After a long pause, I finally said, all right, I understand. I didn't like the idea of killing someone, but if it meant protecting the lives of my family, I would certainly do my best. My target was an evil minister anyway. Surely I could do away with someone like that. My opponent was that insidious, basically like a Zaku Gundam, and he wasn't even human to begin with. Yeah, I like Zakus, they're cool. But from everything I've heard, isn't there supposed to be a second prince and his group of followers? You sure we don't have to deal with them? You refer to second prince Halfaust. He never had a chance becoming king. He doesn't have it in him, and moreover, there are few who honestly think him capable of sitting on the throne. Aha, so Halfaust is the name of the second prince. I have no idea what he looks like or what kind of person he is, but I assume he has to be at least somewhat capable of being considered a candidate for the throne. Seems better to be safe than sorry. You never know what might happen. There is nothing to worry about, Orsted assured me. Even if we fail, there is always next time. Next? As in our next move? Ah, yes. That's exactly what I meant. And what will happen to Ariel if we fail? She will die, I'm sure. Perhaps 2,000 years of life had desensitized him to failure. A plan that many years in the making, or that many years in the making, would have its share of pitfalls. Couldn't always get what you wanted, and if he was playing the long game a whole century in advance, then it was probably inconsequential to him if there were a couple of missteps along the way. But still, hold on. Let's not take chances. Speaking that flippantly will only bring a smile to the man god's face. Orsted's cheeks colored with rage, which terrified me. I hastily continued. There may be other failures awaiting us if we don't commit ourselves now. Those failures add up. They might affect whether you're ultimately victorious or not. I didn't mind that he was more focused on winning than the path to getting there. But if Ariel died, there was a good chance Sylphie might get caught up in it too. I'd also promised to introduce Ghislaine to Ariel. Those close to me suffered. I would too. I certainly didn't want to suffer. Instead, hold on. Instead, we should plan each step carefully. Let's keep our guard up and make sure we're victorious every time we face off against him. That goes without saying. Orsted still scowled menacingly, but he nodded in agreement. Now, I said, with that out of the way, our first order of business will be to put Princess Ariel on the throne. You'll issue your orders and I'll carry them out. Does that sound good? Yes. It was like I earned myself a sponsor. Like I now had Sir Orsted of the Renowned Dragon Society backing me. The only downside was the work he forced on me, which was kind of a pain. All right, I said. Let's come up with a plan to deal with the second Prince Halfaust then. I can handle that myself. I need only overthrow the main nobles supporting him. Since he has no desire for the throne to begin with, that will be more than enough to dissuade him from fighting for it. A realization hit me as I listened to Orsted. From his point of view, it probably didn't matter who became king. Even if Halfaust did somehow take the throne, he could simply have me infiltrate his inner circle. In about a month, word should arrive that the current king has fallen ill. There is something we need to do before then, said Orsted. What's that? I asked. His expression was grim, making it clear he wouldn't permit mistakes. Well, that's terrifying. He probably always looked like that when he was being serious, but that didn't make it any less intimidating. If looks could kill, I'd be on the floor right now. We need to bring Perugius Dola over to Ariel's side. His support will be critical if she is to take the throne. Despite how much anxiety his words caused, I sort of saw that coming. Derek Redbat had been destined to persuade Perugius to join Ariel, but he wasn't here. Perugius, however, was still a necessary asset. I would have to take on Derek's role and find some way to win him over. So basically, I'll need to spend the next month getting closer to Ariel and Luke while also trying to talk Perugius into joining her. Is that right? Yes. All right, then. At least we'd made a concrete plan to address our current conundrum. We were going to change the present in hope of altering the course of the future 100 years from now. To that end, we needed to make Ariel king. That should be good enough for our first strategy meeting. As I thought that, Orsted said, Take this. He pulled something from his pocket, a scroll, and handed it to me. I unfurled it to discover that a magic circle had been drawn on it. What's this? A guardian beast summoning circle, he said. Ooh. This was the very same thing he mentioned me yesterday. I was impressed he kept his promise so soon after he made it. I figured it would take a while since he would probably prioritize reading my journal first. Pour your mana into it and picture something in your mind that will protect your family. It can even be a word. That should be enough to beckon forth that which you require. Will a picture that vague really be enough? I asked. Your mana pool is enormous. You will gain a better partner this way than if you tried to specifically summon something. I wasn't entirely convinced, but if he said so, it was worth giving a shot. I just hope I don't wind up summoning anything weird. Like a childlike girl whose title starts demon and ends with empress. What do you call forth depends entirely on you. That said, Kishirika Kishirisu possesses an enormous amount of power. A summoning circle this small would not be able to bring her to you. So the size of this is the only problem? Does that mean if we made a bigger summoning circle, I could theoretically call her here? Not that I actually wanted to do so, she was too obnoxious. At any rate, I said, I'll be sure to summon this guardian beast tomorrow. Very well. My heart was pounding with excitement. What kind of creature might I summon? Badass one, I hoped. With it standing beside me, I would look twice as awesome as I did now, enough to make Sylphie and Roxy fall for me all over again. Oh, that's right. There's one more important matter I forgot to ask him about. That's right. Supposedly, one of my descendants is going to help you in the future. Does that mean I should have a bunch of kids just to be on the safe side? Or does that pose the potential danger of one of them later giving birth to Lapis? He stared at me silently before saying, None of your children will give birth to Lapis. Do as you like. Understood. I'll do just that then. That means I'm free to pump out babies. Surely Orsted would be pleased to have a large number of companions as well. In that case, allow me to excuse myself. I need to see how the summoning circle you gave me works out. All right. I'll see you again in a few days. If anything happens in the meantime, please be sure to send a letter to my house again. As I started to get up, I remember one more thing. By the way, my lord, did you already go to visit Nana Hoshi? No, not yet. I know it's not really my place to say this, but if you're bothered by her helping me to lay a trap for you, I hope you'll have it in your heart to forgive her. I basically blackmailed her into complying. He said nothing, his lips a thin, narrow line. I didn't want them to have it falling out because of me. Nanahoshi was always against me fighting you, I continued. She said you had done a lot for her. Orste kept silent. In fact, it seems she still feels guilty about agreeing to help me. You can find it within you to forgive her. I hope you may arrange to meet her and give her the chance to apologize, at least. Very well. I will do as you suggest. Nanahoshi is, for all her faults, a useful woman. That's right. She definitely is. Very useful. There is one other thing, said Orsted. While I am able to contact you at my leisure, it would be inconvenient if there was an emergency and you had no way to contact me. Take this with you. He slipped a ring out of his breast pocket and set it on the table. I had seen something like this before, and very recently at that. In fact, this was a ring that Nanahoshi had once possessed, the very one she used to lure Orsted in my trap. Should the need arise, use this to call for me. When in use, the ring would emit a magical power that allowed it to act like a lodestone, leading its partner ring to its location. If it were a magical implement, we might be able to turn it into something like a radar, but alas, it was incredibly difficult to replicate the effects of magic items. There were nearly no such duplicates in existence. Orsted returning this to me spoke to his confidence that he could put me down should I launch another secret attack on him, or maybe it was proof that he trusted me not to try again. I choose to believe the latter. Orsted surely had no desire to unleash his real power a second or third time, thereby depleting his precious mana once again. If he was trusting me with this, it was up to me not to disappoint him. All right, we'll meet again later. I pocketed the ring and set off for home. Of course, I didn't forget to collect Zenova as I left. Just leave him there for the entirety. And that's it. That's where he stayed forever. Go drink. Chapter 2, Guardian Beast. We had a month until Asura Kingdom sent word that its king had fallen ill. That time, I had to work with Aereo to convince Perugius to join her side. To that end, I needed to pump Sylphie for all the details I could. But she probably had her guard up thanks to Orsted's curse, so I might not be able to persuade her to bring me in Ariel's plans. I was torn about whether to trust her and tell her the whole truth, or to give up fighting Orsted's curse and avoid mentioning him altogether. But first, I had another objective to complete, namely the very reason why I'd agreed to work under Orsted to begin with, so I could protect my family. Now that I was his little errand boy, I'd be away from home more often. I needed someone, or something, to take my place. Thus, my first order of business was summoning this guardian beast. It was still morning when I gathered all the members of my household in the garden. That included Aisha, Lilia, and Zenith, who normally spent all their time inside, as well as Eris, who had newly joined the family. Roxy and Norn were present too, as were Dillo and Bite, or a bit. Sylphie carried Lucy, who had just recently learned to stand while holding on to something. In a moment, I will be summoning the guardian beast that will serve our family. Feel free to clap. Yay. Applause rang from the crowd. The audience's fervor was hitting its peak. Tonight's concert would be legendary. Hold up, Dillo and Bit. Why aren't the two of you clapping? This just won't do. What? They're pets, so they can't clap? Well, I suppose it can't be helped. As for exactly what I'll be summoning, I'm afraid I don't know for sure. However, we can expect something particularly powerful, and this creature, whatever it is, will keep our family safe and secure. Are you sure this will be okay? That this thing won't eat us all while you're gone? Sophie asked, worried. That's a terrifying thought. That I did recall reading a story like that a long time ago, something about someone calling forth a beast they couldn't control and it killing everyone. I get you're worried, but this was made by the meticulous hand of the dragon god. Which is precisely why I'm worried. Logically speaking, Orsted would never use such a roundabout way to get rid of us, but Sophie probably wasn't thinking straight thanks to his curse. But wait, could this be his way of putting a leash on me in case I betray him? Like, if I turn my back on him, will he threaten me? With a snap of my fingers, that beast residing at your house will devour your entire family. That really didn't seem likely. In any case, I'm going to summon it now. If it seems dangerous, we'll get rid of it together, and I can give Orsted an earful. Sounds good to me, Eris declared in excitement. She pulled the sword from its scabbard with a majestic clang. She had two at her hip. On the right was Eminence, a magical blade the sword god had gifted her. On her left was one she had grown attached to and used for a long time. Isn't it cumbersome carrying both at the same time? When that happens, all of us will be able to fight Orsted together, she declared. We're not going to fight. We're just going to file a complaint. Like a normal dissatisfied customer. If we try to take him down, we'd be the ones kicking the bucket, or we'd be the ones kicking the bucket instead. That said, she looked awfully happy. She wasn't just looking for an excuse to pick a fight with him, was he? Or was she? We won't be fighting Orsted, I said. But we'll have plenty of chances to fight together in the future. I hope you'll save your strength until then. Her face sank as if the idea bored her. It was fine if she wanted to fight other people, but Orsted was off limits. Never in my life did I want to fight another battle that hopeless if I could help it. I pee myself if I had to do it a second time. Still, are you really sure this magic circle is safe? Perhaps it might be a good idea to have someone like Lord Perugius look at it first, said Roxy. Apparently, she was also very leery of something Orsted had made. That curse on him really is powerful. As absurd as the whole curse nonsense seemed, the intensity of the reactions made its existence impossible to deny. That made my decision an easy one. Though I did decide to take a second look at the scroll before I used it. I wouldn't go so far as to have Perugius check it out, but couldn't hurt to examine it once more myself. It seemed like a normal summoning circle. The part that restricted the conditions of the summoning had some symbols I wasn't familiar with, but there was nothing too suspicious as far as I could tell. Perhaps I could have Nanahoshi take a look? No, that would be rude. Orsted only made this for me because I didn't know how to do it myself. What good did it do to be this distrustful? I'm sure it's fine, I said. Well, if you say so, I believe you. Wait just a moment while I get my staff. Roxy, it seemed, was not entirely convinced. She said she trusted me, but still disappeared inside the house to retrieve her weapon in case things got ugly. I have no idea why everyone seems so on guard, but you're sure this isn't dangerous, big brother? Norn furrowed her brow. Aisha clapped a hand on Norn's shoulder. Don't be stupid. If it were that dangerous, he wouldn't activate it with us around. Her trust felt like a dagger to the heart. Honestly, I hadn't confirmed that this summoning circle was safe. Could I really just use it like this? Perhaps I should wait until I could get Perugius to check on it, just to be sure? If I did, Aisha's affectionate gaze would turn to disappointment, and she'd only be suspicious of Orsted after that. Should the worst come to pass, I will act as a shield for everyone. Please, do what you need, said Lilia. Well, that sounds ominous. I didn't think it would come to that, but everyone else was so jumpy that I was on edge. Were we really going to be okay? No, I need to have faith in Orsted. He said he trusted me. All right then, I said. I'm going to use it. Everyone nodded. I set the scroll down on a table I'd erected using my earth magic. Whew. Here goes. I steeled myself and placed my hands on the circle. I concentrated, letting the magic flow through my veins and gather at my fingertips. From there, I poured it into the circle. I kept pumping more and more of my mana in. This creature was supposed to be something that could protect my family. Even if I drained myself dry, it still wouldn't be enough in my eyes. I'd gladly take every last bit of Orsted's mana too could. Using more mana didn't necessarily guarantee a strong guardian beast, but I would still give this everything I had. Orsted also said it was important to imagine what I wanted. Something to protect my family. That was awfully vague. I needed something incredibly powerful. Powerful enough that a normal opponent wouldn't stand a chance. Something that was incredibly loyal and would never oppose me. And since they were supposed to be protecting my family, preferably not something crude and indecent, I definitely didn't want some tentacle monster covered in mucus. That wouldn't be good for my little sisters or Lucy. This guardian beast was going to be Lucy's knight, so I needed something respectable. That's right. Creature of high moral character, was loyal and strong. Okay, order up. Let's go. Come on out, guardian beast! The circle began emitting a bright light. Not a pure white, but a mix of red, blue, and yellow and green. It was a whole rainbow. But I felt as if the summoning had caught on something, as if there was something stopping it. What could it be? I ignored it and continued pouring in more mana. Whatever had been blocking the spell snapped. A voice groaned, though I couldn't tell where the sound came from. Was it the guardian beast that would now be protecting my family? It sounded rather ominous, as if the creature was in pain. I simply increased my mana output, yanking whatever it was through the summoning circle. The voice rang out as the mana flow I'd been feeding into the circle was abruptly cut off. The light faded, and from within it appeared a man in a yellow mask and white uniform, a large dagger hanging by his side. He was perched atop the earthen platform I created, down on one knee with his arms wrapped around himself.
How could this be? How could my contract with Lord Perugius be destroyed like this?
He remained in that pose as he lifted his head and looked around. The mask obscured his eyes, but I could swear he was staring straight at me.
What's the meaning of this?
The masked man demanded. No, it was wrong to call him that. I knew exactly who this was. Aramanfi the Bright. The way he posed reminds me of a fallen angel. Not that I'm trying to make light of him, I swear. I'd never be able to hold a candle to his brightness. He's way more lit than I am. Just kidding. I asked you, Rudius Greyrat, what is your intention, or what your intention is here? He leapt from the table and tried to seize me by the collar, only to freeze midway through, his entire body trembling. Eris immediately moved into battle stance, but I held up a hand to stay her. Bad girl, go to your pen, Eris. Seriously, what's going on? I'd summon the bright and noble Aramanfi of all people. Was that even possible? Although, despite his human form, he was actually a spirit. Perhaps this wasn't so surprising after all. Not that that explained everything. Was this a ploy by Orsted? Was he trying to provoke Perugius to get him to kill me instead? Oh, come on. If you're going to go that far, then just do the job yourself. No. You see? This just kind of happened. I was activating a magic circle that Sir Orsted gave me, and it sort of summoned you here by accident.
Orsted's magic circle, you say? What precisely were you trying to summon?
A guardian beast to watch over my family. Aramanfi snatched up the scroll with the magic circle. He studied it before gaping.
These are some bothersome stipulations he's placed on the summoned entity.
What conditions are they?
The one the circle summons must be absolutely obedient to you, and they are to defend your family against any calamities that might befall them in perpetuity. In other words, they are to serve for eternity.
Wow, so this magic circle is basically a slave contract?
Perpetuity.
Oh, perpetuity, sorry.
That's okay.
I don't use
If
that
you're
word a lot, but yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say,
perpetuity.
if you're unfamiliar with the word, yeah.
That's an old one. Anyway. Wow. So this magic circle is basically a slave contract? Well, the good news is that Orsted didn't lie to me. Looks like he's trustworthy after all. Anything else? I asked.
The summoner will be the one who determines precisely what is called forth.
So basically, I could decide what guardian beast I've received. Great. Then I'd like to make an exchange.
An exchange?
Yes, I didn't mean to summon you, Mr. Armanfi. So I'd like to trade you out for someone else.
Then hurry up and dissolve your contract with me. I am Lord Perugius's proud servant, not yours.
Yeah, right. Honestly, it wasn't a terrible idea having Aramanfi to protect our family. He moved at the speed of light, so if anything unforeseen happened, he'd be the perfect person to relay our message to me. Yeah, but Perugius values him too much. If I took him away, it might cause discord between us. I furrowed my brow. So how do I go about doing that exactly?
Order me to return to Lord Perugius's side immediately. Dothbath of Destruction will be able to sever the contract.
All right.
Order me now.
Due to the absolute obedience cause, he needed a direct order for me to leave. Okay, then by the power of the summoning circle, I command you to go to Lord Perugius and request advice from him as to how best to call forth a good guardian beast. Aramanfi kept the magic circle in his hands as he disappeared in a flash of light. Sorry, everyone. Looks like I screwed up. I said as I glanced back at my family. They were all staring at me slack-jawed. Aramonfi returned after a while. He delivered a message from Perugius before, hissing about how he'd let this transgression slide, but had better never happen again. Aramonfi was extremely proud of his status as Perugius' servant, after all. I did feel genuinely guilty about stealing that from him, however, temporarily. The circle that Orsted had drawn me apparently lost its power when the contract was annulled, so Perugius made me a new one. It was hard to believe he showed me such kindness after I so rudely swiped one of his servants. He really was as magnanimous as Silveril claimed. The truly terrifying part of the whole ordeal was the level of power Orsted's circle had commanded. Or maybe it was my own magic that was to blame? Perhaps both. Each was merely a spark on its own, but combined they made a raging flame. Since my previous summoning hadn't depleted much of my mana, I decided to collect myself and try again immediately. According to Perugius, it was better not to imagine vague concepts like majestic, omniscient, or omnipotent, but rather an animal. If that was all, I wish Orsted had simply said so. But knowing him, he'd probably have told me to keep Aramonfi, as crazy as that idea sounded. Okay, let's try this again. I surveyed the area before putting my hands on the magic circle once more. This time I was going to keep a concrete image in my mind. I wanted a strong, proud animal. A lion. I had no idea they existed here as I knew them, but the word existed in in the language, so surely there was something similar. I wanted the king of beasts, the strongest creature this world had to offer. Although, if I wanted something loyal, I might be better served by a canine rather than a feline. Nah, that doesn't matter. The magic circle requires absolute obedience, so I just need to focus on something that's strong, or the most noble beast that exists in this world. I focused all the magic I had on every corner of my body into my right hand. For a few moments, I squeezed my eyes shut, but as the last drops of mana left my body and poured into the circle, I snapped them open once again. Come on, bring home the bacon! I sucked in a breath as the magic circle emitted a dazzling light. It was the same colorful rainbow I'd seen earlier, but this time I didn't experience the sensation of the spell snagging on something. My mana flowed smoothly into the circle, and whatever was on the other side or other one heeded my call. In fact, it felt as though a hand was being extended towards me, and all I had to do was take it and pull. I was confident that I would be successful this time. All right, come on out! I hollered. A faint howl echoed through the air. Woo! It was growing louder and louder, ringing in my ears. Is there something I should be saying right now as I'm summoning this thing? I guess it doesn't matter. As I debated that, the light disappeared. What stood before me was a white lionstone owl, over 2 meters tall. I assumed it was female since it had no mane. The way its snout extended, however, reminded me more of a dog than a cat. Oh. Wait, this is no lion. It's a dog. Judging by how short its legs were, it's a puppet that. In fact, upon closer inspection, I realized its fur wasn't white, but silver. It looked like a baby Shiba Inu, but far more massive. Did I botch it again? It's adorable! Aisha exclaimed. But do you really think this thing can protect us? Norn frowned. Well, said Sylphie, for a pup, it does look confident. Roxy nodded. At the very least, it looks too innocent for anyone to suspect it's a guardian beast. The two of them seemed approving enough. It does look intelligent, Lilia commented. She had a perfect poker face, so it was hard to tell what she was thinking, but she wasn't knitting her brows or frowning, at least. Zenith was expressionless as ever. I had no idea what Bit thought of our newest addition, but Dilla was already on his back, expressing submission towards our guardian beast. Not too bad as far as first impressions went, although I'm pretty sure I've seen this pup before. Hold on, said Eris. Isn't this the sacred beast that was so attached to you back in Doldia Village, Rudius? That's right. I just remembered. What were the words in Beast God tongue again? I cleared my throat and said, Are you perhaps the sacred beast from Dodoldia? Woof. The great dog bobbed its head in response before licking my face. Ugh, it stinks. Damn it. What does this thing take me for? A piece of meat? At least I finally knew exactly what I'd summoned. I see. The sacred beast, huh? The same one the Doldia tribe treasured so much that they locked it away deep within their village? Crap. They found out that I summoned it to serve as my personal guardian, they would be absolutely livid, wouldn't they? If they put me on their wanted list, it would only cause more problems. I already had enough on my plate. Guess I gotta exchange this too. Although annulling the contract would cause more trouble for either Perugius or Orsted, there was no guarantee that I'd get anything better on the third try. I spoke in Beast God tongue. Oh, sacred beast, if I might humbly ask, do you possess the power to protect my family from any calamity that might befall them? Woof. He seemed to be saying, Leave everything to me. He seemed motivated enough, but on the other hand, he had gotten himself kidnapped before. Could I really rely on him to protect them?
Orsted assured me that the man god probably wouldn't come after my family much anymore, so maybe I didn't have anything to worry about.
I
but
love that he's a hyper happy puppy, and your woofs are just woof.
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 Where he's
Yeah.
probably like woof. Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's more
He's probably
golden
more like-
retriever
More like
energy
he's just,
than
like,
old
narrow
Saint
eyes.
Bernard.
He's probably more like Ranga. Yeah, he's probably more like Ranga.
Yeah.
I just imagine.
Or-
I just
Yeah.
imagine Pug. He's just a
Yeah,
giant
so he's
pug
just like,
face,
"Oop."
just like
Yeah.
woof.
He's just
Well, they
big,
just said he
goofy
was kind
dog.
of like a Shina Ibu or Shiba Inu.
Okay, so personality is more like Bond, like from Spy Family.
Yeah, kind
He's
of.
like, "Oop."
Well,
Yeah.
no, I would
Well,
say
then
it's more
again,
golden
the dog's
retriever.
Okay, so it's just like
Yeah.
actual IRL dog. Okay.
Yeah,
I'd
very
assume
much.
like Ranga from Slime.
No, I'm saying his personality is very much golden retriever esque.
I see.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's
Yeah.
what
because I was lost in thought. Yeah. I was gonna go Orf. Yeah. As I was lost in thought, the sacred beast leapt from the summoning table and it pressed its body against me, licking at my face again. Ah, he's so soft. They definitely have to be using some kind of conditioner on him. And if he's our guardian beast, that means I'll be able to enjoy his fluffy fur every single day. Yep, I gotta be mistaken. This definitely isn't the sacred beast.
Okay.
Oh, okay,
know.
that's a better. See, that's better. Now that I actually see what it looks
Yeah.
like, I don't know what it was.
Okay, guys.
Okay.
We're gonna stop there though because
Yeah.
It's 10 till.
Yeah.
We've still got a bunch of
Oh.
pages left in this chapter, and the medicine finally kicked in for my allergies, so I'm starting to fall asleep. So I'm like,
That's fair.
yep, we should
Good
probably
enough.
stop it before I pass out and the stream
Yeah.
stays
That's
on
fair.
way too long.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And
We got
Lost
the big
Concept. Haven't
corporation.
read Volume 16 in a while, but re-listening to this minds you how much I love Mushoku Tensei. Yeah, I'm so glad you're
Yeah, I
enjoying
can
it.
see that.
We
Yeah.
also may be switching this over to YouTube for the or like dual streaming to YouTube and Twitch, just depending on if we get the secondary channel set up. Because turns out it doesn't matter anymore if we read these on YouTube, because there's like AI voice channels that just read entire freaking books,
No.
Yeah.
Gross. I don't like it.
and they allow that crap on there.
Go
So
away.
I'm just like, all right, well then they
Go
should
away.
let us do it.
Yeah. I'll do it.
Yeah, thank you
fucking love
guys so
reading.
much. Thank you guys so
Yeah.
much. We're gonna go and look for somebody to raid. So let's look for a raid channel. Who are we following that it could be getting a raid?
I've got a couple people.
Ooh,
If,
Cube is on.
Can't think of anyone.
Coob.
Ooh.
Cubano.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Mm.
Meh.
That looks nice.
Apollo's on. Sayu's on. Mouse is on. But actually, I think
Yeah,
we're gonna
it's
go
fine.
ahead and we'll raid Cube. Why not? Let's give
Cube.
Cube a raid. Cube.
Yeah.
The Cube. He's playing Space
In
Marines.
the beginning, there was
No
the
way.
cube.
In the beginning, there was the Cube. All right. So, guys, go send Cube some love, and we'll see you
Mhm.
again next week. Take care, and bye for now.
Bye
Oh,
bye.
wait. Actually, hold on. We have to wait for the 10-second countdown. I always forget about that.
Oh, okay.
You gotta love
Yep.
it when you're like
All
ready
right.
to go, and then
Wish
it's like,
it-
oh wait, now we gotta go.
Everybody wish Cube a good dog. All right, everybody.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.